Afghanistan. What does the Trump transition team have in mind for the military officers in charge of that operation?
Yeah, our colleagues covering the Pentagon have new exclusive reporting that the Trump transition team is compiling a list of current and former military officials involved in the withdrawal from Afghanistan, according to sources familiar with those plans. And you'll remember that Trump has repeatedly condemned the 2021 suicide bombing outside of the gate at the Kabul airport that left 13 U.S. service members and about 170 Afghan civilians dead, calling it the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. NBC has also learned the Trump team is exploring whether these military officials being compiled could also be tried for crimes in a military court. And you'll remember a 2022 independent review of that blamed both the Trump and Biden administrations. We have reached out to the Trump team for comments and have not heard back, Alex.
Okay. Ali Rafa, thank you so much for that. Joining me right now, we have Tom Nichols, staff writer for The Atlantic and a retired professor at the U.S. Naval War College. And I welcome you, Tom. We're going to begin with the Trump transition team's plan to potentially courts-martial U.S. officers involved in the Afghanistan pullout. Independent reviews have put blame on both the Trump and Biden administrations for the withdrawal. So is this all about revenge, or is there any necessary military justice protocol to find people responsible for those 13 American service members who were killed?
No, there isn't. And we really have to drop the narrative that somehow this is about Afghanistan. It has nothing to do with Afghanistan. This is Trump firing a shot over the heads of senior officers, telling them that they, from now on, loyalty to the Constitution is not their oath, that from now on it's loyalty to him. And he won't tolerate the kind of things that happened, in his first administration, where he had people like General Milley and others refusing and trying to talk him out of doing things like shooting protesters in the streets. This whole business about Afghanistan is a smokescreen, either to get to somebody like Milley and other senior officials like former Secretary of Defense Esper, or it's merely just a kind of head fake to put some fear into the senior officers of the Defense Department, even if it doesn't come to fruition that these trials happen. Either way, this is about trying to capture the military, intimidate its senior officers, and make the DOD into a compliant instrument of Donald Trump's will. And if this court-martial story is confirmed and goes forward, we're in the beginning of a serious constitutional crisis.
Look, how much would the advancement of Pete Hegseth moving into head of the DOD, how would that facilitate what you're talking about, the potential constitutional crisis?
Oh, it would be perfect, because Hegseth has no idea what he's doing. He has his own dirty laundry that he doesn't want to come out, as you're seeing now in the reporting about his background. And he would be perfectly happy to do whatever Donald Trump tells him to do. This would not be a Secretary of Defense, again, who observes his oath to the Constitution or protects and takes care of the people under his stewardship, both civilian and military. If Donald Trump says, fire up some court-martials and go after some people that made me angry 4 years ago, he's going to do it. And that's partly why Donald Trump has chosen these people, because he knows that they'll do it. And the three most important, if you're going to undermine a democracy, the three most important departments you need to capture are justice, defense, and the intelligence community. And he has put know-nothing loyalists into all of them, or is trying to.
Okay. Let's move to intelligence then, because your latest article for The Atlantic, you say Trump's director of national intelligence pick is a national security risk. Why don't you think Tulsi Gabbard is qualified for the job?
Well, because she's not qualified, because she has no background in any of this. She has no background in the intelligence community. She's never managed anything. These are gigantic bureaucracies that require at least some executive chops. She has no experience with the intelligence community, and she's a risk because her views would normally disqualify her from this kind of job, this kind of top clearance. I mean, I keep saying, as a former federal employee, we had to sit through insider threat training every year to talk, where they talked about, are there people who have grudges against the U.S. government, who seem overly friendly to foreign government, who have foreign contacts that seem shady, and so on. And as I wrote in the piece, Gabbard is like this walking Christmas tree of warning lights. But I suspect that's another reason that Trump is putting her in there, to say to the intelligence community, you will not have a director who has your back. You will not have a director who will obey the Constitution and protect the national security of the United States. You have a director of national intelligence who answers to me and will give me whatever I want. And you're all on notice about that. And it's the same message he's sending to justice and defense.
So her appointment potentially, what would that do to the relationships and information we have in terms of sharing with our allies?
Well, the real question is, what does it do to our allies thinking about sharing with us? The United States does not act alone in the world. For all of the, all the people who talk about America first, really have no idea what they're talking about. What they're really saying is America alone. And our allies, I think, looking at somebody like Tulsi Gabbard as DNI, would be deeply hesitant to share anything with us that could get any of their people killed, harm their national interests, expose their national secrets. This would really hobble the American intelligence community. And again, I think that's part of Donald Trump's plan here. He doesn't care about national security. He cares about loyalty.
Okay. Well, listen, of the troika, you've talked about defense and intelligence and justice. We're going to get to the Matt Gaetz issue in just a moment. Meantime, I thank you so much, Tom Nichols. We'll see you again. To do that, everyone, we're bringing in NBC's Julie Sirkin from Capitol Hill for more on